Hello and welcome. So as you guys know, we already have a course running on Udemy. The course is Mastering EPLAN. So if ever you want to be part of the moving train, you are able to register for the course or enroll for the course. The link for the course is in the description. So just click on the link and it will direct you to Udemy. And from there, you are able to register or enroll for the course. So moving right along. So another question which was raised by one of the students was with regards to placing components onto the mounting panel. So the question was mostly related to placing components such as terminals. So what I showed them with regards to placing terminals, I showed them how to place terminals as a complete terminal strip. So you can see this X1 doesn't show that it has terminal number 1, terminal number 2, terminal number 3, terminal number 4, and so forth. So what we do is that we would go to the terminal diagram, and from the terminal diagram for X0, we would be able to figure out what is number 1, what is number 2, what is number 3, and what is number 4. But sometimes it is not recommended to place the terminal strip as complete unit. So as a complete terminal strip, it is not recommended if ever the terminal strip is longer than your DIN rail. So for example, if we go to X2, you can see this is 100X2. So if you look at 100X2, you would see that, for example, if ever the terminal strip was maybe as long as that, so if ever it was such a long terminal strip, what would need to happen is that you would need to maybe cut it from here, and then another section of it would need to move maybe to the next DIN row. So it will maybe need to move to the next DIN row. So I'll just say cancel to that. Maybe let's do it again. Not say cancel, but to actually put it properly, just say cancel to that. Let's maybe put it properly, say do not modify, and therefore maybe the next one will be up to here, and maybe this one would be up to there. So maybe it will be something like that, but EPLAN does not like it when you have something like this, because also the legend number, it's also the same. The EPLAN does not like it when you have it like this. So what would normally happen is that you would actually not place the terminal strip as a complete terminal strip. So what you would do is that you would place all the terminals individually. So what I'm speaking about is I'm actually referring to you placing them like this. So if I grab these terminals, this is X1. So if I grab it right now, you would see EPLAN will ask you, do you want to place it as a complete terminal strip? So this is what the student was actually referring to. So in this situation, the student will say no, because he does not want to place it as a complete terminal strip. So you would click on no, and therefore now you can see you would be able to place the terminals individually. So you would place the first terminal. So you can see this is the clip fix. It's not the first terminal, but this is the clip fix to actually label the terminal bank. And therefore you would place, this is the first terminal now. You would place the first terminal, place the second one, place the third one, place the fourth one, and so forth, and keep on placing them after each other. So you would keep on placing them after each other. I'm just going to hit escape. I'm not going to place all the terminals. You can see they actually end at terminal 20, but I've just placed a few of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just show you guys how it looks like if ever I have it a little bit more neater. So I'm going to delete this information. Deleting this information is just deleting all these numbers or these letters or these words that are appearing right there. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to place this, and this is just to label the name and the visible one. And after that, I'm going to change the line thickness. Basically, the line thickness is this line that's holding it. So this thick line, which is the blue one, I'm just going to place it at 0. So it will be at 0 millimeters, and I'm going to say okay to that. And now you can see this is how it looks like. So this is what the student wants to. He wants to place the terminals like this so that he does not have to use the terminal diagram. So therefore, that's how he can be able to place the terminals. So he would place them not as a complete terminal strip. So if you place them not as a complete terminal strip, you would be able to see which one is number 1. You can see now number 1, terminal 1, it's actually bigger than terminal number 6. So even if I move to the last ones, you would see that the last ones is actually at PT 2.5. You would see that it's actually smaller than these ones that you see right here. These ones are quite big. Maybe they are PT 95 or something like that. But this one, it is quite bigger than the other ones. So if ever you want to place them like this, yes, indeed, you are able to place them like this, which is not a complete terminal strip. And therefore, the other question then arose from the student was that, how do you then change the angle? So if ever you want to change the angle, yes, indeed, some of you guys might be thinking that you can just press Ctrl R, or you can just rotate it, and therefore you can have it like that. Therefore, you have rotated it now, and therefore it is appearing like that. But that's not how EPLAN would like you to do it. So in EPLAN, if ever you want to rotate them, what you would do is that you would actually just delete it, and therefore enter it into your schematics. And for me to do that, before I re-enter it into my schematics, before I grab it and push it into my schematics, what I will do is that right here underneath my 2D panel layout navigator, I would have to right click and then go to settings. And right here underneath settings, what I would do is that I would say I want to change the angle of placement. So this is the angle of placement. I would have to change it to 90 degrees. So now changing it to 90 degrees says that it will actually rotate them by 90 degrees. So this is, in quotations, kind of like pressing the Control R. So it's kind of like pressing the Control R. So therefore that's how I'll have it. But now what happens is that when you enter it into your schematics, because your direction of equipment is horizontal, it would actually start placing them right next to each other in the horizontal direction. So you need to make sure that you change the direction to vertical. So the direction of equipment should be changed to vertical. The handle will still be in the middle, so you need to place it at center. That the handle will be at the center, the vertical will be selected, and then it will be 90 degrees. And if I say okay to that, and after that, I grab it from my 2D panel layout navigator and I push it into my schematics. It will ask me the same question again. Do I want to place it as a complete terminal strip? The student wanted to say no to this. So therefore, if he says no, therefore you would see now it's rotated by 90 degrees. And therefore you can see now this is how it appears. So if I say yes to that, yes to that, yes to that, yes to that, you can see now this is how it appears. So now this is how it appears, and now this is how the student wants it to appear. If ever the student maybe had a DIN rail that was actually facing in the different direction, which is the vertical direction. At the moment you can see it's lying in the horizontal direction, but maybe if ever the DIN rail was changed to a vertical direction, they would be able to place the terminals in the vertical direction. So therefore, if I open the properties of this one, and I go underneath format. To format, I'll just change that so that the line thickness is 0, and I go to display, just delete this. And if I paste this, you would see that's the name. But if ever I say apply to this one, you would see that the name appears like this. So what you will need to do is that right here underneath the name visible, you would need to change it to 0 degrees. So I'll change that to 0 degrees, say apply, and therefore you would see now it appears like that. And therefore this is what the student wants. So this is what the student wants. They want to place them like this in this direction. Yes, indeed, they are able to put them in this direction. But just remember that once you have placed the terminals in this direction, you need to actually change your settings back to the horizontal, and this one change it back to 0 degrees. Because if you do not change it, what would happen? I would make an example with the main disconnection switch as well. Let's go to the main disconnection switch and let me show you how it would appear. So the main disconnection switch, you can see this is how it would appear. It would appear in this type of direction. Maybe if I use the macro, you would see if I use the macro. So I'll use the macro from the parts master data and I'll grab it from here. And therefore you can see now this is how the main disconnection switch appears. So therefore you need to make sure that before you place other components, after you have placed the terminals, you are happy with the direction of your terminals, how they are facing, you must make sure that you go back to your settings underneath your 2D panel layout navigator and therefore change these ones back to 0 degrees and change this one back to horizontal and say okay to that, and therefore you are able to place the components back again into your schematics. So you can see if I place it back into my schematics, now I am able to place it in a different direction as compared to my terminals. So with my terminals, maybe that's what the student wants to do. He wants to have the terminals facing in this direction. Maybe he wants to have a terminal or a DIN rail which is facing in a different direction. So if I just copy this one, paste it right here, change the angle of it. Maybe let's just change the angle by hitting my Control Z or my Control R. And maybe the student wants the DIN rail to be sitting like that, and therefore they will have the terminals sitting in this direction. So they will have the terminals sitting on this DIN rail sitting like that. So maybe that's what the student wants, and therefore that's what the student will achieve by changing the directions inside the 2D panel layout navigator. So therefore that's all the student wanted to do, and that's all the student had to do. So change the directions inside your settings for your 2D panel layout, and therefore you will be able to achieve that goal. So thanks very much for watching this video. If ever you have more questions, just hit me up in the comment section, and therefore I'll see you guys in the next question, which is the next video. So thanks very much.